This is a meeting being held to solve a case of gender-based violence through mediation.
I've called both parties. There's a boy who wanted to fight a lady. Me and that lady was her girlfriend, and he found somebody trying to engage her again into love affair. So he was so arrogant and wanted even to fight the lady. So, bearing in the past history, in that same village, a man murdered his girlfriend. So the parents picked concern and brought the case forward to me. So I'm now trying to talk to them and see way forward how I can really settle the dispute.
It is really a very big challenge in northern Uganda. One, people think they trace it back to the kind of custom we have in northern Uganda, where in northern Uganda they take women as property, so they are really interjected into a lot of violence, both physical, emotional, economical. Then also, so second to that, we have poverty. That's why people are always fighting. He's not looking after the children, or he's not giving me anything. When a woman is demanding for her right, for example, she wants health, she wants food, she wants medication and all that.
In 2010, we got 129 survivors. Then we moved. In 2011, we got 133. Then by September this year, we have already seen 198 survivors. That's for Gulu Regional Referral Hospital only.
The UN Joint Program on Gender-Based Violence, which brings together UNICEF, UN Women, FAO, led by the United Nations Population Fund, UNFPA, is working with government institutions and non-governmental organizations in northern Uganda to ensure access to justice for victims of gender-based violence. To access justice, survivors of sexual violence are supposed to undergo medical examination from qualified police surgeons or a medical doctor, and this information is recorded on the Police Form 3.
Police Form 3 is a tool used by the CID to collect evidence on sexual cases. In the past, it required that it should be the surgeon, police surgeon to do it, but now or even nurses in the villages can do so, which makes it easy to collect the evidence. And I want to assure the public that you are going to see us focus more in this direction through community policing, building partnerships with different agencies, both local and international.
What we have here is the Police Form 3A. Request for medical examination of a victim of sexual assault should be filled by a police officer in duplicate. Then general examination, note the physical condition of the victim and the state of clothing where applicable. This is the last part 102, where you see the pictogram, of course, for examination of a victim of sexual assault.
Information on this form becomes a critical basis of evidence to secure conviction and ultimately justice for the survivors of sexual gender-based violence. The UN Joint Program, with collaboration with different stakeholders, successfully pushed for the revision of the Police Form 3.
Design itself, somehow it is explaining fully what the previous form used to lack. And with some pictures around, something like that, it has enabled even the doctor to be exact. And in the picture of the perpetrator, the victim, definitely that design helps him or her to explain better.
With support from the program, many police officers have been sensitized on the revised Police Form 3, its usage, access, and its importance in ensuring victims of sexual and gender-based violence get justice. With support from the program, Gulu Youth Center is providing free medical services to victims of sexual gender-based violence.
1 year ago, they supported us by giving us some PEP regiments, which we used to give to our survivors who are eligible to get PEP. And from there, not only PEP, they also helped us to access testing kits for HIV testing, because we also need them in our lab, and our survivors also need to first go through HIV counseling and testing. And above all, UNFPA is helping us because we are operating under a consortium in which ARC is part of it, CARE. So through ARC, we also receive some help from the UNFPA.
We receive them for, one is, we have to do analysis, follow up on what happened to them. One of the things we do is urine analysis. We test the urine. Second one, we test the urine for pregnant test. The third one, we sample their blood for syphilis. After getting what is in the form, we have our data entrance. So here is where we enter. These two cases are for gender-based.
To avoid unwanted pregnancy, this woman, who's a victim of sexual, gender-based violence, is being counseled and is given emergency pills. In case they run out of PEP medicines or they are overwhelmed by the number of victims, Gulu Youth Center refers the clients to the nearby Gulu Regional Referral Hospital.
We realize that the referral system, the linkages among its other stakeholders, like you look at the Strait of Uganda, the youth center here. We have been in a connection very many times as far as managing survivors are concerned. Other stakeholders like ARC, War Child Canada, the police. In many occasions, these people, the survivors, they pass through the police. And we have been helping the police to fill the police forms. And we work together with police. When we fill the police forms for legal purposes, we refer them. After filling the police form, we refer the survivors, the guardians, we refer them to police. Then now it's the police to connect them to the High Court. And for me personally, I've been testifying in the court when I'm called.
Hello. You told me that you have been raped and you were given this hotline from the police.
The center also maintains a hotline for people in the community to report cases of sexual and gender-based violence whenever they occur. The program is also supporting War Child Canada.
We have legal aid clinics. Now, the legal aid clinics do provide direct legal aid services, which are not paid for, free legal aid services to those who have been affected by sexual and gender-based violence. We also have a community outreach to let them know about their rights, to make them be aware of sexual and gender-based violence and the dangers around it and how they can prevent it from happening, or if they see it happening, how they can ensure that response mechanisms are in place.
The Police Form 3 is just an accelerating tool within which evidence is gathered. So it's very cardinal in making pursuit of criminal cases in that it forms a core piece of evidence in court. Although rarely, we have a number of decided cases where even without the Police Form 3, cases can succeed, but it's very slim and very minimal. On average, every month, we prosecute up to about 6 cases successfully.
War Child Canada, with support from the program, has trained several community volunteers to educate and sensitize the local communities about sexual and gender-based violence issues.
Ana poi mate kon kom amir Caroline aluani ayu edisia arangeni tu erna ka koma late mir ko tere arian.
Amito Caroline is one of the community mobilizers.
Malo pekini eni mano food po no training machalo wanda ndana mir wangi kit meto ero miti kit ero ono timge timata kadeda la bole tie marokon na machel mario lokom rep ma deg defilement yo mataka madongo no training enoni ada la kala tie kumbe en watika no kuch inan kira mon kumbe don wangi betika rien kere gitika do ko foch kilelo madira deda bot wocher Canada e kom ngoma wocher Canada tika timone pien karam karage nyu petikit loko mai kan marbe ikin pachi ino lwen rep tika time defilement tika time o jima pola tama tika time
an wo sal Canada gion mago konya kere mi achiel go konya loko ma yela mi are ko ken na choke dago si do achiaro bot gi go mina puony kidong bela kupe ket gi lokom do tiano mano ayela ti achi gen go konya kilo tiano mega kombere dong ki ker mo megi mago konya ke ki gubu be mago puonya kere ki ma du kere ke ngeji la cho mo mega wo bino gwan bu chiar bot gi wanwa ko tam kuno kombere dugu tika gwa ko an mabe tika chulo tiano gang kwan dak be watika go plan mi chwale lo tiano mo ma nyane sinia pe no lo tiano fut kwan primary.
American Refugee Committee is another organization that has benefited from UN Joint Program support.
We have trained a lot of health workers and police. We have trained community leaders.
The American Refugee Committee is facilitating local musicians in Gulu Town to sensitize the people about sexual and gender-based violence and its dangers.
We want the artists to use their songs because people listen to radios a lot. So we wanted them to compose songs on GBV to spread the messages to end violence against women.
We made this gender-based violence song to sensitize people on Police Form 3, whereby most people, they abuse the use of Police Form 3.
As artists, this year all of us came together. It's a joint fight if we want to end gender-based violence in our community, in our district, in our country.
Despite this, there's still some challenges regarding use of the police form.
The accessibility still pose a lot of challenge. It's not easily available. At times, clients claim that when they go to police post, like in the villages, they are not there. Then too, medical practitioners are not yet very much willing to fill these forms because even a senior doctor fears so much to give evidence in court.
We are the institution like the Copy, the War Child, who had subsidized. They would pick these victims from the police, take them to wherever the doctor is, and I think the office had some kind of motivating the doctors. They had some fee they were paying. But with most of their business now closing, that is another thing I'm seeing that it might come because they have already induced to some fee to start doing it completely freely. It need also talking to them.
With this form, many survivors of sexual and gender-based violence will be able to access justice if every duty bearer carries out his duty diligently.
The UN therefore pledges its continued support to ensure that all survivors are assisted, are protected, and are able to access justice, and that impunity once and for all is brought to an end and the perpetrators are served their due notice so that gender-based violence becomes something of history and gender equality can take full root in this wonderful country of Uganda.